Good afternoon, folks. Matt here again, hiding in the cedar trees this time because it's windy. It's always windy down here. 5 degrees this morning, down from 27 a couple days ago, well into the second week of June, and farming in Canada, it's something to behold. So second little installment of, again, hopefully what is a project that actually has an edible outcome at some point. But a little bit about the lumper potato itself and some of its characteristics or alleged characteristics, based on some background reading I've been doing, and then also using this. It's called The Graves Are Walking, book written by John Kelly, historian John Kelly. Pretty good. I'm going to probably draw some stuff out of it as we go. But the lumper potato, every crop variety has its own characteristics, and allegedly, opinions seem to differ on this, but allegedly the lumper potato, from a culinary point of view, is not particularly appealing, or at least it wasn't at the time. Mealy, kind of watery. Again, allegedly, we'll see. But what it was known for is being a very high, very productive variety. And that was one of the reasons why it wasn't the only potato variety grown in Ireland in the 19th century, in the first half of the 19th century anyway. But it was almost universally grown because of how much it would yield. And when you're absolute bottom of the barrel and the bottom of the poverty barrel, that really mattered. And in the 1840s in Ireland, the potato, as it was very nutritious by comparison, produced very well, it became the mainstay, if not the essentially only thing that a huge chunk of the population lived off of. And so you have a situation where you have an incredibly impoverished section of the population, very large portion of the population, completely dependent on this one crop, and even more than that, this one variety of crop, which from some of the reading I've done, again, I think it's mixed, but seems to be particularly susceptible to late blight, to Phytophthora infestans, again, if I'm saying the Latin name properly. And that's a recipe for disaster, and a disaster is exactly what happened. The famine hit other parts of Europe earlier than it came to Ireland, Belgium, for example. But in places like that, where people weren't entirely dependent on the potato, if their wheat crop failed, say, they could go to a cheaper alternative. They could go to, I don't know, rye or something like that. If potatoes were around and available, they could go to potatoes. But in Ireland, there was nothing to go to. And that was part of the compounding tragedy of that event. Anyway, on that wonderfully cheery note, let you go. We'll chat with you again shortly. I'm just noticing what might be some wilting, possible wilting from herbicide carryover on a few things in this particular garden, which admittedly does not look that great at the moment. There's where our lumpers are entombed. Part of that herbicide carryover might have been a bit of atrazine, so we're gonna go ahead and replace some topsoil on that, just out of a precaution. But hopefully that doesn't actually matter, and I'm worrying about nothing.